It's about to get noisy in here. I'm Jay Postones. We're here in Nashville at Soundstage Studios. We're recording a sound library for Toontrack. I'm a drummer and an educator. I play drums for TesseracT and have done for about 15 years. I've been a drummer for 30 years. So a couple of years ago, I was approached by... Did I approach you guys or did you guys approach me? I can't remember from the MIDI packs. I think I might have approached you. I reached out to Toontrack with the idea to create a MIDI pack, and to come up with the ideas for that, I was just drumming along to TesseracT songs and playing different drums over the albums. And really for a long time now, I've wanted to create my own sample library, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity off of the back of the relationship from doing that MIDI pack to open up the dialogue to make a session like this happen. And fortunately the guys were into it, we got the green light. A few years ago, I was here tracking a video session with Steve.
I'm Steve Blackmon here at Soundstage Studios and backstage. Jay reached out and he invited me to be along for the ride. We had worked together a handful of times in the past and liked what I did.
He knows how to get me to sound good. What can I say? He knows my playing, I know what he can do in the control room, and as soon as this project was happening, I reached out to Steve. The main idea really with this project was to create a sample library that lands somewhere between the sounds that I hear when I'm sat behind the kit, these kind of organic, punchy, lovely, lush room sounds, and this produced, energetic, in-your-face drum sound that you might hear on a TesseracT record, that kind of thing, and really have a range of sounds that span those worlds.
I really wanted to honor what Jay's drums truly sound like in his context, but also let it be versatile enough to be able to be used outside of that context.
Not everyone can do that, but Steve's the man. Steve knows what he's doing. I knew this room sounded amazing as well.
Well, there are a lot of options here in Nashville, obviously. You know, there's many large studios and many great studios, but I'm familiar with this room. I like the way it sounds, and I thought for Jay's style, this room would be really well suited. It can be large, but it is also punchy, and it can be it's slightly more aggressive than some other rooms that I've worked in the past. It just felt like a good fit.
It's big enough to capture an incredible room sound, but it's also very controlled. We can stick a microphone over there and the drums are going to sound huge and beautiful. So I wanted to be in this room.
Jay's style is very musical, and he plays the drums it just flows from him, but it also needs to be very aggressive in some aspects without going overboard or locking you into a specific tone or a specific sound that you can't get away from. Jay plays quite a big kit, and the room mics that I choose to use, and I think this is part of the sound that I go for, usually end up being relatively close to the kit. I mean, within reason. And the thing that I try to capture with them is not only the ambience, but also the impact, the punch, the upfront feel of the drums, because I feel like the farther I move them away, they just start to feel more like reverb to me. You know, it's kind of live or die by the room mic sound.
Look at this wonderful world in which I live. Drum world. So the first kit that we've tracked is the acrylic kit. This thing has been, I would say around the world with me, but I've got two of these. So it's been around the US with me. It's my home kit as well. I know it very intimately. It's the same drum kit that we used on TesseracT's fifth album, More Being.
to me, is probably the punchiest of all of them, and it's just very direct and forward feeling. It has nice attack. It feels like that is Jay's sound. That's his home. Like, I just need Jay's drums to feel like Jay's drums.
I know how to tune that thing. I know how to get it to sing. I know what it should sound like, for want of a better way of explaining it. I've got this idea of how this thing should sound, and we've dialed that in. We've got it sounding awesome in the studio. This was something that I've been aware of for a little while as a wood that can sound really amazing for drums. Haven't tried one before this session, but was really pleasantly surprised by it.
To me, it was very punchy on the toms. The kick in particular was very different to me. Very smacky, very attacky. It felt really nice in the room. The toms felt huge, especially the 18 to me. It just felt really, really nice.
The grain of the wood is sloping straight down, which means the note of the drum is going to be lower, so it's going to lend itself to lower tuning, which is nice. I've managed to get this really deep, guttural, heavy tone out of this kit. It sounds super lush, super warm, super rich, super deep, super beautiful. The third drum kit that we recorded was the Maple Mahogany kit. I had one of these kits years ago in the UK, and it sounded so good. It was such a nice sounding drum kit. We managed to get hold of one for this session.
Since it had different heads on it, it just had a different form of life. It sang a little bit more because of the single ply heads that we were using, and the fact that they're coated, it just gave a little bit more open top end. Maybe not quite as punchy, but definitely sounded very weighty, very big.
Everything rings out the way that it wants to ring out with this kit, and especially the floor toms. The whole note is just beautiful and warm and giving you a hug, and I was so pleased listening to those as we were tracking them, because it decays and there's no kind of bow to it. It's just this round whole tone. The whole note starts and the whole note finishes.
I love the kicks in there too. Initially it didn't have as much resonance as we were looking for, even with taking out some dampening and playing around with that and playing around with mic placement. So we just decided to put another kick drum in front of it and use it as basically a resonant drum, and it just filled out that low end very nicely, and it was something totally different than what we had in any of the other kicks.
I think we really nailed it with this kit. Normally, when you're tracking drums, you're just playing drums, right? You're just in a studio hitting things, and you don't always get much time to really dial the sounds in.
It's just that we have to move in such a fast pace that there isn't time to spend like this. You can't hear 5 different tuning options on a snare or a kick or whatever. You can't go out there and move a mic 20 times.
But for a session like this, we've got the space and the capacity to really dial everything to the point that we're very happy before we start hitting things.
There's just so much more interaction between me and the drummer directly. Just the amount of time that we could spend, it's very nice to hear this cymbal or that cymbal.
Which one sounds better? Who knows until you get to try both out in the studio. And that's really one of the great things about doing a session like this, is that you have the time and the space to experiment with this stuff.
When we started getting sounds for this, I really wanted Jay to play. I don't want to hear just kick drum and just snare drum, because I'm really going for a kit that sounds cohesive. So that was kind of a big focus.
The main difference with tracking a session like this is I'm playing drums, but I'm also not playing drums. I'm hitting a drum and waiting for it to decay. And that process I was warned it might be a little bit crazy. I might go a little bit crazy during it. It's been great. I've found it very meditative and fulfilling, and I end up hearing things in the drums that I don't think I've ever heard before, and all of that has been captured. So I've got to hear an early version in the control room, and it's blown my mind, frankly. It's such a lush sounding package. The drum kits sound amazing. It sounded like me playing, which is exactly what I wanted.
Everything feels defined, everything feels up front. You know, nothing feels out of place, it feels cohesive. It feels like Jay played that. It just translated very well.
I'm just going to be spoiled for choice, really. When I'm at home, when I'm composing, when I'm jamming, I don't know what kit I'm going to use. That's the main problem that I've now got, which is a good problem to have. We have successfully reached the goal line with this and smashed the ball so hard into the goal that I'm very, very pleased. Really, with something like this, I'm hoping people just get inspired by the sound of it. You know, we've put a lot of attention into how this makes you feel, frankly, and that's the whole thing. Music's meant to hit you there and make you feel something.
It made me happy that it was honoring Jay's sound, like it's what he does. And I mean, in the end, I really just hope people can just find inspiration in it and create based on these sounds.
If I've done a good job here, these sounds will do that for you. It'll help inspire some new ideas creatively, and you'll put some music out that you're really stoked about.